Latest football news, engaging debates,
and fascinating opinions.
Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk from home. Still not on IO Radio, but we will be back on there soon. I am George, and this week I'm joined by Dan as always, and Piers. He's permanent. He's just a permanent signing now. You're just part of the furniture, aren't you, Piers? Really?
Pretty much, yeah. I don't know if it's the good furniture or the bad furniture. Yeah.
What should we say? Good or bad, Dan?
Nah, it's good.
He's good.
I'll take that.
Apart from seeing all the Liverpool's good signings in this window, but I'll just accept it. You're good now. But we are back. We're talking about more football news. We've got so much football news. We didn't need the Euros this year. We've got plenty of football coming up this summer, and we are kicking off this week on this week's show. We've got the FA Cup final. We found out who won out between Arsenal and Chelsea. The playoff final, we found out who got promoted out of Fulham and Brentford, and who have the return of the Europa League. Forget the Euros. We've got the Europa League back. Who needs the Euros anymore now? Europa League is the new Euros, as we have two English teams still left in the competition, in Wolves and Manchester United. But first, we're going to go to the FA Cup final, and it was between Arsenal and Chelsea. The two sides have met before in the FA Cup finals. Arsenal have won twice out of the two sides. But Aubameyang provided some more of his magic once again at Wembley to help Arsenal win the FA Cup for a record 14th time. This is Arteta's first major trophy as Arsenal boss since taking over in December for Unai Emery. And it's also been 1,162 days between major trophies for Arsenal. And the last one was against Chelsea in the 16-17 season, beating them 2-1 as well. It's like deja vu, really. What are your thoughts on the games, guys? I didn't unfortunately watch it. I was somewhere else in the world. I'm really bad at this, aren't I? I'm a football fan. I didn't watch the game, but what's your thoughts really of watching an empty Wembley? It was weird to see. I saw some of the highlights, but an empty Wembley, two sides going for the FA Cup, nothing to lose. What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it was a weird game. I have to admit, I didn't watch it either because I was also doing other things. But
we're good at this, aren't we?
Yeah, I know. But yeah, it was interesting to see Wembley empty in such a massive game like this. I think going into the game, I think Chelsea were favourites for me. And, you know, I was quite surprised by the way they performed. I thought they'd go into this game full of confidence after, you know, getting into the Champions League. So, yeah, I was quite surprised by how Chelsea performed in this game. I think Arsenal did well. You know, there's a few dodgy decisions in the game as well, which I'm sure we'll get into. But I think in the end, Arsenal probably deserved the win. It was a lovely finish by Aubameyang for their second goal, I have to say. And just surprised by how Chelsea performed in this final, definitely.
Piers,
I did watch the game.
Piers, as a Chelsea fan here, I'll say you did watch the game. So we actually have somebody who knows what actually happened, unlike us people that have to watch the highlights because unfortunately we have work and other commitments in life. But what was your thoughts from a Chelsea fan's perspective, really?
I mean, it was an all right game. The game overall was all right. Yeah, like Dan said, the Aubameyang goal, you know, that was a great goal regardless. I think Arsenal wanted it more. I don't think they played amazing. I think, you know, a lot of Arsenal fans have been hyping it up quite a lot, you know, this win. I think Chelsea looked very flat in that game. You know, we weren't looking great. The defence was very slow. I mean, most of the first half, Arsenal's success was from a long ball that would come over. You know, that also led to the penalty in the first half. So, I mean, Arsenal did play well. You know, Aubameyang done well, but I wouldn't say either team played amazing. But I think it's good props to Mikel Arteta. I still think Lampard's, you know, he put out the right squad, he put out the right team. Unfortunately, obviously Christian Pulisic getting injured at the start of the second half. That's our most dangerous player gone. The captain, Aspilicueta, coming off, and just we couldn't seem to get our passes through. And, you know, there was a couple of decisions that didn't go our way, but regardless of the decisions, Chelsea just didn't play well enough. And this has happened multiple times this season, to be honest.
As I said, that Arsenal won the trophy. They needed to win this trophy, really, because Aubameyang's future was uncertain. He scored 39% of Arsenal's goals this season. I think he scored 29. The next highest is 12 with Lacazette. There's a big gap in goal difference there. But also, they didn't qualify for Europe. Does this make them more hungry to sort of try and win because there's more on the line for them? And now they've won it. Do you think the future now looks bright under Arteta? Because there was a bit of uncertainty. Is he the right man for the job? But has this sort of put the critics behind and go, well, he looks like the right man now for Arsenal?
Yeah, maybe. I think obviously this win for them was crucial. I think after the season they've had, they needed this silverware at least. So that'll probably keep Arteta in the job for next season. It'll be interesting who they kind of bring in because Arsenal have this habit of signing kind of mediocre players at times. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting this summer. And I think they need to just keep Aubameyang. I know there was uncertainty about his future and stuff like this, but I think they just need to give him a contract now. I think he's crucial for them, and he'll keep scoring goals for them. And I'm not going to say it's looking bright for next season because I don't know with Arsenal. I think there's still a bit of work to do, but to keep Aubameyang, I think will be a big step, and maybe sign a few decent players in the summer. I think we'll get them on their way.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Arteta has done a good job. I think after the position Emery left Arsenal in, obviously they had Freddie Ljungberg at one point, didn't they? And then Arteta, they were knocked out of the Europa League quite badly against Olympiacos. So for him to come in when I would say Arsenal fans probably had no hope at all. Arsenal had lots of problems with Granit Xhaka and all these major players. They had problems with Ozil and sort of Guendouzi and everything. So for him to come in and to know that he loves the club, he's talking about stability and showing fight. I think he's come in and I think he's done a brilliant job. People give praise to Ollie and Frank, but I think Arteta's got to be up there. He seems good at man managing, and he just seems like a good manager. I think he's really changed that Arsenal side. I think getting a win over Liverpool, Man City, and Chelsea in about 2 weeks isn't too bad. But I think what Arsenal need to do now is they need to act like a big club. They need to act like the big club that they say they are. And sign some big players because, like Dan said, sometimes they do sign some mediocre players. And I think when you're a team, they've got all the draws. They're in London. They're a big club. They've won loads of trophies. They should be able to attract these bigger players. Obviously, they've got Aubameyang, Lacazette, and Pepe, which is one of the most dangerous front threes in the league. But I think they need to work on all their other areas, especially their defensive midfield. And I think if they could do that, it's not going to happen straight away, but over time, Arsenal can try and push the title, hopefully, in 4 or 5 years for them.
Well, they have been saying for years that Arsenal do need a defensive midfielder. I know since when Arsene Wenger was there, when Patrick Vieira left, they were like, we need somebody like that. And they haven't signed anybody like for 15 years now, something like that. But is Arteta showing that Arsenal are going in the right way? They're going the right step. They're now winning trophies. They're now looking good. But does he now need the backing of the board? We know there's uncertainty from the board. I think the board have said that there might not be too much signings this season because what's going on, the pandemic of the world, losing money. But does he need that backing? Because he could make Arsenal look great again, couldn't he? He's got that Pep sort of mentality. He's seen it under Pep. He's worked with the best coach in the world. He could do it, couldn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I think he definitely has the potential. As Piers said, he's had a decent season. Obviously, winning the FA Cup in your first season for the club, I think that's a good achievement. And yeah, I think he does need backing from the board. If they're not going to sign anyone, then I think it'll be interesting to see how they do next season. I think they have an all right squad, but they really need to improve their defence and midfield, especially their defence. Their defence has looked so poor especially since lockdown finished. So yeah, it's going to be hard for Arsenal to do anything with the squad I think they have now. Obviously, as Piers said, that front three of Aubameyang, Lacazette, and Pepe, that's really dangerous. So I think they're okay in that area. But I think backing from the board is probably needed. But obviously, with this situation, it's going to be difficult. But I think Piers said this as well. They should be able to attract world-class players with the size of the club they are. But yeah, I think without the backing from the Arsenal board, it's going to be difficult for Arteta.
Yeah, they can't expect Arteta to work miracles. Like obviously, he's shown he can be a good manager, and he's done very well at his short time. But if they want him to succeed and change this football club round, they've got to invest in him. You can't expect him to do greatness with the players he's got. Look at Klopp when he was at Liverpool. Look at the squad he had, and then you look at the changes he made, and now they're one of the best teams in the world. And Man City, first season didn't win anything, brings in 4 fullbacks, a goalkeeper, but ridiculous amount of players, and they win the title two years in a row. And that's something that Arsenal need to have the chance to do. I know that hasn't worked brilliant with Ollie and Manchester United, but at least they're still showing promise. They've gone from you would guess them to go into the Europa League. They finished 3rd this season, so it shows you just need to have faith in the manager. And I think Arteta needs time. I think he needs 2-3 years to build this squad. I think Jurgen Klopp's a prime example of what can happen. I think people will just sack managers too soon. So I'd say if the board back him and give him time, I think he'll do well.
Well, moving over to the other side of London, Chelsea. It's been a great first season by Chelsea by their standards. They didn't, unfortunately, it ended in another Wembley pain once again for Frank Lampard. But they started off the game quite well. They scored in the first 5 minutes. A brilliant goal from Christian Pulisic to finish off the chance. But how did Chelsea fall apart? It really in sort of the rest of the game, really, because they looked like they had it under control in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, do you want to go first, Piers? Because you watched the game.
Here we go.
Yeah. I'll go first. Yeah, it's a difficult one with Chelsea. This is something that's been happening all over the season. We play well in these games, and then they just fall flat. They didn't even seem to penetrate the Arsenal defence. We've been having this problem for years, really. The ball was keeps getting lost. Our defence is so poor. Apart from, I would say, Reece James, I'd say he done very well that game. But we've definitely got a problem with the centre backs, and I don't think Marcos Alonso is definitely a player who's not good enough for Chelsea. I would say not on that left back position. When he played as a full back under Antonio Conte, he was a brilliant player, but I don't think he just can't keep up with it. I mean, every game you watch with Marcos Alonso, he's got 1 foot. If the player puts him onto his right foot, all he's going to do is pass it back. And when you're trying to win trophies, you need to have a player that could do everything. When you want to be sort of a world class team, I mean, you look at Liverpool's fullbacks. The way they play, they can literally do anything that you ask them to do, and that's something Chelsea should aspire for. And the defence was poor. I think I don't think we can't wait to get Timo Werner in. Although Giroud's done very well, he is an aging player, and Tammy Abraham's been a bit hit and miss towards the end of the season. Although I think he still needs time. I think some people forget about this Chelsea side. Sometimes I forgot myself this season that these are some players' first time being first team in the Premier League. Reece James, Mason Mount, Billy Gilmore, Tammy Abraham. I'm sure there's a few more that I've forgotten, but these players have only just come in. They're young players, and Chelsea need time. Let's not forget, everybody thought we were going to finish 7th and 6th this season. Joking around, and we'll finish 4th. But you just need to, just like with Arteta, just like with Ollie, Frank Lampard needs the back end. I know Chelsea were well known for getting rid of players or get rid of managers very quickly, but they need to get these world-class players in. There's no more time to keep buying standard players like Danny Drinkwater or like Zab Da Costa. It's not good enough. If you want to win a league, you've got to invest. You've got to invest smart. But overall, with the game, yeah, they were just flat. They just didn't seem like they wanted it, and that's happened plenty of times this season.
Yeah,
I don't know what I was asked.
Any more time on that, Dan?
Well, I don't know what to add to that, really. I think, Chelsea have they've had a good season. I think they have overachieved. I think, I predicted them to be, as you said, 7th or 8th in the league. So I think they have overachieved for me. But, going into this game, I think obviously they look flat. I didn't watch the game, so...
we're good at this still.
Yeah, we are great at this. But yeah, from the highlights that I've seen, It looked quite poor. And I think, obviously, as Piers said, the defence needs improving. But, Lampard needs the backing. And, additions of Werner and Ziyech as well, if that's going to happen, I think that's a good step. It's a step in the right direction. Werner is a proven striker. He's brilliant in the Bundesliga for Leipzig. So, that is a step in the right direction. And, with these younger players, I think they've done fantastic. As Piers said, it's their first, some of these players' first seasons in the Premier League. Mount was at Derby last year with Lampard. It was brilliant for them. Reece James was at Wigan last year, so that's a massive step up for him. So yeah, they have done well, but I don't know. Just going into this game, I think maybe the pressure was on them a little bit, and obviously they've fallen flat.
Well, I just want to end off this little section by asking you about the two very controversial decisions. The penalty, was it a penalty at first? Aubameyang's got past Aspilicueta is scrapping behind him, but was it enough for a foul to give the penalty?
Yeah, this is a difficult one. I think this type of penalty is given a lot, and it is soft. It is a soft penalty, definitely. But he has got his hand round his shoulder. It might not be forceful, but he is grabbing him. Maybe Aubameyang goes down a little bit soft, but yeah, I'm kind of on the fence with this. I think it is a little bit soft, but I think I get why the ref gave it. Yeah.
Is it like the sort of the?
I think it.
Oh, sorry. Is it like the sort of the Mahrez penalty where David Luiz fouled him? David Luiz got sent off. Is it like that sort of penalty? He makes contact, and he should have been making contact there, but it is soft, isn't it?
I think personally, I think it would have been fair to give it either way. I think Aspilicueta has gone to go round him. There's no excessive force on him, but obviously contact's been made, and of course Aubameyang's going to go down. So, I think it's fair to give it either way. When I first watched it, I thought, yeah, that's a penalty. He's trying to get round it. But then looking at it more, I wouldn't give it. But it looks right. Everything looks right to give it as a penalty, if you know what I mean. Like he's gone across him, and then it looks like he's pulled him down. So in the moment, that I think it's more than fair to give the penalty personally. And
then the second decision, which sort of actually been overshadowed, really, is the Emi Martinez possible handball outside the box. There is now new graphics that have come alight that apparently he was just in the box by about that much, but it wasn't shown at the time. Biz is very happy about this decision. So, but why did VAR not look at that? Is it because he just kept playing on? I don't really know. What is going on?
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird incident. I don't actually think they showed that in the highlights, did they? That I watched on YouTube.
Well, they showed the highlights. So they didn't show the graphic. There's a graphic after it, and it just shows that he's in by that much, but they didn't show it on the highlights. So I thought,
yeah, it was kind of unclear. But when I first looked at the picture, I was like, that's definitely outside the box. But then, as you say, there was a graphic, and it was the smallest little bit on the line. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? I think he's not inside the box, so he shouldn't use his hands on it. I don't get it. And VAR, I think they looked at it for about 10 seconds, and that was it. And just so much confusion. And yeah, that did annoy me because he's handled it outside the box for me. Just because he's like the most like a sliver on the line. Very annoying when I see that.
Yeah. Anthony Taylor, man, corrupt FC. That's what it is. That's what he's playing for. It's ridiculous. He handled that ball outside the box. I don't care what anybody says. He handled that ball far. And then to put that up as his profile picture of him holding it in there, that did wind me up a little bit. And also, I'm going to bring this up. The red card on Kovacic is ridiculous. That was never a red card. Xhaka stamps on his foot and he's given it. The Mason Mount yellow card was ridiculous as well. I mean, he didn't even touch him either. So, that doesn't make the excuse for how poor Chelsea was. But, we didn't get many decisions our way.
I forgot about that red card. Thanks for reminding me about that.
Don't worry, I remember.
Well, the only reason it finished 2-1, because I said it was going to finish 2-1 to Arsenal. You said it wasn't. So I should be doing the punditry from now on in.
Right. You should have put a bet on.
I should have done. That's why me and Anthony Taylor, we've got a good relationship. And I told him I want it to finish 2-1. He went, I can make sure that happens, George. And he did. Well, moving on from one game at Wembley to two Premier League sides. We have two Championship sides fighting out for the Premier League at Wembley last night in the richest game in football history, the playoff final in the Championship. If Brentford won, it would have been 160 million for Brentford. Fulham, it's 135. The only reason they don't get more as same as Brentford because they got promoted a few seasons earlier, so the parachute payments are still going through. But Fulham are back in the Premier League after one season away, beating Brentford 2-1 thanks to two Joe Bryden's amazing goals. The first one caught me off guard when I was watching it on the highlights. Unfortunately, I watched it on the highlights because I was somewhere else in the world. But Fulham have had an incredible season under Scott Parker. He's really transformed them. After they got relegated in the 29th season, they had 26 defeats, conceding 81 goals. How's he able to just turn them around so easy and get them back into that Premier League first time of asking? Because if they didn't do that, they could have been stuck in the Championship for God knows how long. They could be doing an Ipswich Town or a Leeds United, perfectly honest.
I'm quite surprised by how well Scott Parker has done. I think he kind of became their manager pretty much after he retired. I think he did play for Fulham. He went straight into management, and I'm surprised they've actually gone up. I think they've had a very good season. I think they've got a really good team at Fulham, I think next season they may struggle a little bit, but they have got potential in their squad. I think this playoff final, I think Brentford were definitely favourites going into it. I think Brentford done well against Swansea to get into the final. But, it's always tough going against Fulham. And I think Fulham have come off, some great form in the league. Brentford kind of, struggled a little bit towards the end of the season. So I think maybe that had an effect on them going into the playoffs. They lost their first game against Swansea. So maybe they lacked a little bit of confidence. But I think Fulham, they've done fantastic to come and beat Brentford at Wembley. And I think they deserve to go into the Premier League for next year. It was close with them and Brentford. I think it was quite a distance on goal difference. I think it was like 26, wasn't it? But
26 goal difference in the end.
Yeah, but they were close to going up on the final day. They didn't make that happen. Obviously, it was a hard task. But they've done well in the playoffs, and I think they deserve to go up.
Yeah, new young manager syndrome seems to be, always doing well for his club. First of all, I don't know why playoff final was on a Tuesday because I missed it as well. I didn't even know. He played finals on Tuesdays. But, I've seen it and it looked like sort of a dull game. Obviously both teams cancelled each other out. I'm sure there was a lot of pressure on both clubs to go up. Obviously Brentford, so long since they've even been in the top flight and the playoffs, to be honest. And obviously Fulham want to bounce straight back after going down. I know they spent a fair bit of money when they were in the Premier League, so I'm sure they wanted that money regained. So, props to Fulham. I think they've done well. They've done well in the playoffs. And I think I don't know how they'll do in the Premier League. I think it will be hard for them. I think for them and West Brom it will be hard, but to go up straight away after coming back down is a huge success because a lot of clubs do get stuck.
As you said, yeah, football's now play on every single day, Piers. It's the new normal. It's a football it's one on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's every day. It's just football everywhere. But Scott Parker said that Fulham will learn from their errors of 18-19 season where they spent so much money, it all backfired. But what are they going to do when they come into the Premier League? Because they've got only 6 weeks now to prepare for the Premier League season. Will we possibly see them just splash the cash again or just do what Norwich did? Don't spend anything. Just what you got, keep.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult decision. I think they maybe don't want to make the same mistakes that they did last year, as you said. But I still think they need to improve their squad. I don't think their squad is good enough at this time to stay in the Premier League. But they obviously don't want to do what they did last time, spending all this money and getting big names just to go down again. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Fulham do. I think they will sign a few decent players, but I do think it will be a struggle for them next year with the players they've got now, and I can see them coming down again. But you never know. We've seen teams go up, not really spend any money and stay in there like Sheffield United have done. So yeah, anything could happen really. But I expect Fulham to sign some players in the summer.
Yeah, it's always difficult, isn't it, for teams when they go what to do. You get teams who spend money and do well, or spend money and end up like Aston Villa, almost getting relegated. So it's always like, I think Fulham are a rich club, aren't they? They have got money in that club. So I think they will spend money. I just think they need to learn from the mistakes and spend smarter. Don't spend for big players and big names. You need to work on a team and find players that are going to suit each other and work with each other. And Fulham have got every chance to stay up. But I think it's going to be very, very hard for them, regardless who they buy.
Okay, well, quick little word for Brentford. Hollywood Football didn't end their 74-year wait to return to the top flight of football. They now got 201 records. They've got that one, but also they've got the most playoff final defeats in 4. That is quite mad for them. But when Thomas Frank reflects on the season, will he look at they didn't perform in crucial moments? We knew they only needed 4 points from the last 2 games to get automatic promotion. They had Stoke and Barnsley, 2 sides that were in the relegation battle. They lost to both of them. But does this show that there's still things they need to improve on that side quite badly heading into the new season and the new ground as well? No more Griffin Park now.
Yeah, I think they, come to the end of this season. I think they started off drawing and losing games, and I think that kind of had an effect on them, especially going into the playoffs. As you said, losing against Stoke and Barnsley. But I think overall Brentford have had a very good season. I think they're such an exciting team to watch. But I am a bit worried about it because players like Ben Rama, players like Watkins, they are going to leave. There's no way they're going to stay in the Championship. So I think they really need to think about what players suit them, because then you're going to need to replace their better players. Brentford are good at finding players from lower leagues that are good in the Championship. So that's something that they should consider. But yeah, I think it's going to be tough for them to bounce back because all of these good players are going to leave. So yeah, I think this season they'll reflect on it, thinking that it was a success overall. Obviously, a massive disappointment for them not to go up when maybe they deserved to. But I think they really need to concentrate on next season and bringing in some players to replace their better ones.
Yeah, this was definitely Brentford's big chance to go up with the absolute class they've got. And then, like you said, Dan, they're going to have to try and replace those players because people are going to want them. Some of them are being linked with top Premier League clubs because it is just such a good side and they have done well. And it is those 1 or 2 games that stupid draw here and that loss away is what culminates and that's the difference between teams like Brentford and Leeds, and that's what they've got to look at next season. They've got to still take the positives from the season. They've got to realise what they achieved and they've got to build on that and try and get into the playoffs again or eliminate that fact and try and get automatic, which I think they can do. Although there is some really good teams coming down, Norwich I think will do very well when they come down. Bournemouth, I'm not too sure with them. Obviously, losing Eddie Howe and Watford, they could still do well. So it's not like Brentford have got an easy task ahead of them, but I think they can still get playoffs again.
Well, just a quick little word. Where are Leeds, West Brom and Fulham, where are they going to finish in the Premier League next season? The new 3 sides, where are we expecting them guys to be heading for in the Premier League?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult to say. I think Leeds are probably the most likely to stay up out of them 3. I think they've got a world-class manager. They've got a decent squad. So I think I expect Leeds to finish in the lower half of mid-table, probably staying up. West Brom and Fulham, it's going to be difficult for them. I think they have the potential to stay up, but I think I'm going to put Fulham and West Brom in the bottom 3. But I think Leeds are going to stay up.
Yeah, I think Leeds are going to do well. I don't think they're not going to have no sort of like Wolves season or Sheffield United season, but I think they will be in that mid-table area, sort of 11, 12, 13. I think West Brom and Fulham, once again, like Dan, I think they will struggle. I think I don't know. I think Fulham will go down, but I think West Brom will probably just sort of survive.
So then, interesting predictions of where Leeds, West Brom and Fulham will finish next season in the Premier League. But now we don't have Europa League this summer. Sorry, we don't have the Euros this summer. Big shame. But we have the next best thing. We have 2 European competitions, which will replace the Euros. We don't need Euros. We've got 2 competitions instead. We're starting off with the Europa League. That is back under 147 days away. It is back. Chelsea have had some good nights in Europa League, especially last season. After being suspended because of COVID-19, 16 teams will try their best to win the Europa League on the 21st of August in Cologne. And I'm going to now read out what games we have going in the last 16. So we have Copenhagen versus Istanbul. Istanbul have currently a 1-0 aggregate over Copenhagen. Shakhtar Donetsk are taking on Wolfsburg. Shakhtar are winning that 2-1 on aggregate. Inter Milan taking on Getafe. That is only going to be a one-legged match after the first game was suspended. Manchester United taking on LASK. They currently have a 5-0 aggregate lead over them, so I think that's already done and dusted, that game. Bayer Leverkusen are hosting Rangers. They're currently winning 3-1 over Rangers. Seville and Roma are going to be taking on each other. 2 probably the favourites of the competition, and that's going to be only a one-legged match as well, due to the first game being suspended. Basel have a 3-0 aggregate lead over Frankfurt, and Wolves are drawing 1-1 against Olympiacos, taking that into the second leg against Timonier. So yeah, we have 2 Premier League sides in this competition. Manchester United taking on LSK on at Old Trafford. They can have a 5-0 aggregate lead. Also, Manchester United were one of the first teams from England to play behind closed doors in Europe, perfectly honest. They're one of the first teams to do it. Wolves are taking on Olympiacos and the Monu. But how far can we possibly expect these sides to go? Because Manchester United win, we know they will be playing Copenhagen or Istanbul in the quarterfinals, which would possibly set up a tie against Wolves in the semi-final. But Wolves have to beat Olympiacos, and then they have to beat Roma or Seville, 2 of the biggest favourites for the competition. But what can we possibly expect from our 2 British sides going into the Europa League on Wednesday?
Yeah, for me, I think Man United, I reckon they could be one of the favourites to win the competition. They've done brilliantly since lockdown, I think. Obviously, we've talked about sort of certain transfers that have helped them that won't go into, but they've got a fantastic squad and they've been performing really well. So I think, obviously, they're pretty much through this leg against that team I can't remember the name of. And then they go into the next one against Copenhagen or
Istanbul. Go on then.
Istanbul. There we go. I'm really good at this, aren't I?
You watch Europa League all the time, don't you?
Yeah, I do. But yeah, obviously there'll be favourites going into that game as well. So I think they've got a big chance of getting to the final. At least, obviously, there's big teams in there like Sevilla and Roma as well. Wolves, they've got a fantastic side as well. They're in good form too. They'll be in Europe again next year. So I reckon they could go far as well. I think, it's obviously a tough game against Olympiacos, but I think they could probably get through that. Did you say that they might be playing Roma in the next game? Or is it Roma or Seville?
Roma or Seville. I must correct you that Wolves did not qualify for the Europa League because Arsenal won the FA Cup,
they did.
knocking them out.
Yes.
So quite big now that they have to win.
Yeah. So they have to win. Leicester finished 5th, didn't they? So it shows my knowledge. But yeah, so they kind of have to get through this. But it's going to be tough for Wolves. I think, they've got a good side, but it's going to be a tough ask to beat Sevilla or Roma in the next round. As you said, they may be favourites, but I think Man United will get to the final. Don't know about Wolves though.
Yeah, Penalty FC, also known as Manchester United, will do very well. I think this is a great game for them to play their young players. I think I'd love to see Greenwood play up top on his own for this game, just to see how he did. I think, it shows shades of what Van Gaal done with Marcus Rashford when he first started. Albeit everything I say about Manchester United, I do like their side. I think they've got a very interesting side, especially Bruno Fernandes.
Oh, there you go.
He's I think he needs a rest. I think he looked very tired those last few games of the season. I don't think Manchester United need to risk playing him. I would play a nice young team for Man United just to show some of the future. I'd like to see Dan James playing and Greenwood, and I think that would be good for them. Wolves, I think Wolves look good in the Europa League. I think they're strong enough to beat most of these teams in the Europa League. I know they finished 7th in the Premier League, but how strong the Premier League is, I think, most of these teams that Wolves are going to come up against wouldn't finish 7th in the Premier League. So I think they'll do fine. I think they'll be very strong. Whether they can win it or not, I don't know if they've got that fight in them, especially having to play Roma or Seville and then possibly Manchester United later on. It's going to be a task, but it's not something Wolves can't do. They've beaten good teams in the Premier League and they've done well to get where they are. So they've still got more than a chance.
Actually, as you did say that about Wolves and that, Wolves did not finish in the Europa League spots. They got knocked out by Arsenal. They finished 7th. They did get it, but because Arsenal won, that effectively knocks them out of the Europa League. But if Wolves do win, we will see 8 teams in Europe next season. That would be brilliant. Wolves will join the Champions League, of all things. That would be a massive step up for them. But who are we going to say are favourites of the competition? So the favourites, according to the people that make up the odds, is Manchester United from Inter Milan, Bayer Leverkusen, Wolves, and Seville. Seville have won it 3 times in a row, so they've got previous in the competition. But who are we going for the win? Is it going to be a Manchester United storm, or are we going to see someone from Europe? Because we've got Antonio Conte's Inter Milan in there, a strong side, we have to say. Roma and Seville, they've got previous in this competition. So it looks like it's going to be quite an interesting end, possibly, to this competition.
Yeah, it does look like it's going to be an interesting end. I think Man United can consider themselves one of the favourites to win the competition. Obviously, after the season they've had, I think, or at least after lockdown, I think they can feel confident. But of course, there's other teams in there. Not the best knowledge about European teams, I have to say. But obviously, I know that Inter Milan, they've got a good side under Conte. I think Bayer Leverkusen, they've got a good squad as well. And of course Sevilla and Roma. So I'd like to say that Man United are probably favourites, but I don't know. Maybe one of them European teams are as well. I think Inter Milan could go far. I think Sevilla could go far as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the final is. But I'm just going to say Man United are going to be favourites.
Boring.
Personally, I would say Manchester United, Wolves, and Inter Milan. I love Antonio Conte, of course. He's a brilliant manager and he's done brilliant things there. But there's uncertainty over his future at the moment. I know the board aren't very happy with him, and he's not very happy with them. So there could be a free exit. So I wouldn't have Inter Milan as one of my favourites. I think Wolves could be, any of those sides they come up against on their day. I think they can beat Seville, who obviously another great team in there. I think they can beat Roma. I think they can beat Bayer Leverkusen, and they can more than certainly beat Manchester United. But to be honest, just due to their experience and their big name players, I think Manchester United will win it.
Oh, God. Can't believe you've done this. Manchester United, apparently the favourites from the bookies and apparently the favourites from our punditry here I'm not going to say anything. No comment. I wish not to speak. Well, it is time for a quick football roundup. We've got so much news. We've got some Ipswich Town news as well. The first team and the coaching staff have all reported with negative tests after the first batch of COVID-19 tests, meaning Ipswich Town can now step up to phase 2 of training and possibly be playing matches by the end of this week, as the Blues aim to play 5 to 6 pre-season friendlies before the start of the season, which is September the 12th. We do not know who they're going to be playing yet in the first game of the season, but once we find out, we will let you know, because the EFL like to just leave things to the last minute. They'll probably just announce it the day before, won't they, Dan, in the EFL? Yeah,
probably.
That will happen. Borussia Dortmund have set up a deadline for Manchester United if they want Jadon Sancho. Manchester United have till the 10th of August to sign the winger, but according to reports, both sides are failing to agree on a fee, as the Borussia Dortmund believe the current offer set by Manchester United is far too away from their current evaluation of the winger. Also, some more Manchester United news. Aston Villa are going to offer club captain Jack Grealish a 100k contract per week to keep him at the club, as Manchester United are stepping up interest in Grealish. And Manchester City have made their first signing of the window. Hooray! Fernan Torres from Valencia for €23 million. The 20-year-old has signed a 5-year contract, but Manchester United are possibly going to be bidding Nathan Ake soon after a £40 million bid was accepted by Bournemouth. And I also have read something as well, whilst we've been recording the show, that Manchester City are rumouredly going to be signing 5 players this window. That's what they have set to sign. And also some other news that Brentford forward Ollie Watkins can leave for £18 million after a buyout clause has now been activated after Brentford failed to qualify, to get into the Premier League.
Wow.
So
it's happened the day
That'll take
after.
longer than Dad.
Mad.
it's starting to happen.
Oh dear.
Football is moving so quickly, and we're going to move so quick as well because we're at the end of the show. We're at the end of another show. No summer break for us. There's so much football. I don't think we can stop, can we, guys?
No. Isn't there like Champions League until like the end of August every single day?
I forgot to mention that. Yes, we had Champions League on Friday.
Yeah.
I had enough time to fit that in. I don't know when we're going to be able to fit that in. Maybe we might have to record a little show tomorrow, guys, trying to fit that in. Oh, God. It's football going left, right and centre. It's hard to keep, but we will try our best on this show. So, before I forget to mention, if you want to follow us on any of our social medias, it's pretty simple. For Twitter, it's @Pitchside Talk. Instagram's talk_pitch. YouTube is Pitchside Talk if you want to listen back to any of our previous shows or even this show. I know you want to, so go for it. And Mixcloud if you want to listen to our shows in an audio basis because you don't like seeing our faces, which is fair enough. I won't blame you. Well, I have been George. We'll see you next week and ciao.
See ya.
So.
The whistle has been blown for full time. Tune in next week for another jam-packed show.